Well, guys, it looks like this week a lot of people in Cardano are the richest they've ever been in their whole lives. And they're probably thinking about clicking a whole lot of buttons. We should probably talk about that. Ready? Let's go. Don't worry, I'm not going to talk to you about fiscal discipline or how you should or should not spend your hard earned crypto ducats. These are just a couple of topics that seem to be relevant for people who've made a little bit of dough in crypto. So, whether for you that's 500 bucks or 5 million bucks, this might be worth discussing. I know a lot of you claim to be little Cardano saints who will never sell your Cardano. If you go on Cardano Twitter, you're going to see nothing but a legion of people who claim they will never sell. So even if you're one of those people who claim they will never sell, maybe your children will sell, maybe your grandchildren will sell, maybe you will even sinfully sell a little bit of your Cardano staking rewards. But knowing crypto, selling does take place. Even in Cardano, there will be selling. So if you ever sell any Cardano, despite what you say on Twitter, please pay your taxes. I remember back, I can't remember what year it was, 2014, 2015, 2016. I remember I had been paying taxes on my Bitcoin gains and then Ethereum gains. And this article came out that said that year, only like 450 or 550 or 600 people had actually filed any kind of gains with the IRS. And I felt like I had talked to online more people than that who were obviously making money in Bitcoin. It was super obvious that people were not filing with the IRS on their gains. I get it. Some of you are like rebel anarchists and you don't believe in paying your taxes. Okay, fine. For you people, pretend like I'm not talking right now. Don't listen to this part. For the rest of you who are trying to be law abiding, please pay your taxes. A lot of people are probably going to make money this year in Cardano. And if you're interested in being law abiding, I think most of you are, pay your taxes. It's like the number one way to find yourself in a nightmare situation. If you get in trouble with the IRS, and I think the tax authorities are probably similar in a lot of countries. Not all countries. I'm sure somebody in the comments is going to tell me about how they're in their country, the tax authority is super easy to deal with and there's never any problem. Okay, for sure for you, you're fine. For everybody else, it's a super bad nightmare to get in trouble with the National Taxing Authority. And it actually ruins whole families. Like I've seen this happen. People get behind in their taxes with the IRS. They spend the money and they don't have the money to pay the taxing authority. And it creates this nightmare that's very difficult to climb your way back out of. It can have such a big I've said this before on this channel, but it can have such a big impact on your life and your family's life. It can even affect your children, the next generation of your family. It can even impact their lives decades later because you created such a big economic hole for your family. So if you're not in that like crazy anarchist camp, I know it does exist in crypto, but if you're not in that camp, please pay your crypto taxes. I know a lot of people mistakenly believe somehow the taxing authority will not catch up with them. It's a lot easier just to pay the taxes. I see a lot of activity online. People are like, what if I have an LLC in the Cayman Islands? What if I have a shell corporation that then owns the LLC in the Cayman Islands? All that kind of stuff. It seems like it's just easier if you pay your taxes. This next item actually cuts against that last item. I just told you, if you make a bunch of money, make sure you tell the IRS. Do not keep it a secret from the IRS. It's a bad idea. But now I'm going to tell you, don't tell anyone else. Keep it a secret from everyone else. Nothing good comes of telling people you are crypto rich. It is not a good idea. I know you think it'd be really fun to tell people. Don't do it. Don't tell anyone. This is where you should remember that you're a member of the army of spies. You're not going to lie to them. You're just not going to bring up stuff that they don't need to know. Do you remember this old movie with Robert Redford and Brad Pitt? This movie is so old, I can barely remember it, which is kind of funny because it's 2001. I can barely remember this movie though. In this movie though, there's one scene I'll probably never forget. So Robert Redford tells Brad Pitt to go get, I can't remember if it was one piece of information or two pieces of information, but some amount of information from this girl on the street. I think they're like in Germany or something like that. They're somewhere. And the first thing Brad Pitt does is walk up to the girl and he gives her like three pieces of information in order to entice her into giving him one piece of information. And he's like super stoked, comes back to Robert Redford, and Redford's like, dude, you gave her three pieces of information in exchange for that one piece of information. You needed to give her zero pieces of information. It's not a bad idea to think about that in terms of the amount of dough you might make in crypto. Again, whether that's 500 bucks or 5 million bucks, it doesn't really do anything to improve your relationship with the people around you to tell them that you made a bunch of money that they didn't make. No matter how you think that's going to go in your head, it's probably not ever going to be positive. Sure, you might have like some super caring, altruistic, enlightened friend who probably spends all their time meditating and thinking good thoughts or something. Maybe that person, maybe it'll work out with that person for you to tell them you made a bunch of money they didn't. But for like 99% of people, it doesn't help the relationship at all to tell them you made a bunch of money that they didn't make. That doesn't help them in their lives at all. It just makes them feel bad that they didn't make the money that you made. And for a lot of people, this even applies to their family. And at the end of the day, usually you don't get anything positive about it either. Unless this person's like your enemy and you're trying to make them feel bad, you're probably not going to get a lot out of telling them that you made a bunch of money. So probably just tell no one that you made the money in crypto. Plus, think about it. Where does the opposite road go? You hide from the people around you that you just made a bunch of money. So they don't feel bad and everything's normal, everything's status quo, things just go down the road. And let's say somehow you screw up and they figure out that you did make a bunch of money. The conversation is not going to be like them enraged that you didn't tell them that you made a bunch of money. They're going to be like, oh, I can't believe you didn't tell me, and jokingly they might be like, you should have told me. But deep down, they're going to be like, my friend or family member or whoever is so awesome. This person made a ton of money in crypto. Again, with this 500 or 5 million bucks, they made a bunch of money, whatever that is to you. They made a bunch of money and they're so cool. They didn't even say anything because they didn't want me to feel bad about it or feel differently about them. They're just going to think you're cool if you didn't tell them about the money. With family and friends in real life, you might just have to worry about them asking for loans and gifts and treating you differently, but especially don't talk about your crypto monies online. It's happened a bunch of times in crypto. I'll never forget when Peter Saddington, who used to run a great YouTube channel back in the day, back in the bear days, when almost nobody was caring that much about crypto, there was this character, Peter Saddington. He was the first guy who kind of like took his Bitcoin money and bought a Lamborghini. He was one of the first like moon Lamborghini guys. I remember, I think it was like the first time somebody actually paid for a Lamborghini in Bitcoin. And he kind of had this show in his garage where he'd sit there and talk about various cryptocurrencies, including Cardano, if I remember right. And he had a pretty entertaining show. And everybody knew he would actually do trades on camera. He was showing exactly what he was doing. He didn't show you, exactly what his holdings were, but it was very obvious he had a lot of Bitcoin. I mean, there was a Lamborghini behind him on camera. So he suffered, I think this article even says, Somebody grabbed his Verizon account and used that to steal from him a significant amount of crypto. And he lost a lot of other things, like it says 13 years of emails here. I'll never forget that moment because this wasn't a dude who was not tech savvy. He was a guy who seemed pretty tech savvy, very much focused and integrated in the crypto community. And even there was probably so much heat on him. I mean, people look at him on the videos, they see the Lamborghini behind him. They know he probably has a lot of crypto. And so they took his crypto. They found some vulnerability and took his crypto. In his case, I'm sure it was just calling up Verizon customer service. Yeah, they even say here, calling Verizon customer service and getting them to allow them to hijack his account. And then they use that to do things like reset passwords. This can happen to you too. Even if you're just some random guy on Reddit, some random guy on Twitter, if you're talking about how you have X number of ADA, or you just sold X number of ADA and you cleared blank amount of euro or Swiss francs or yen or whatever, there are dudes out there who have nothing but an internet connection and some light hacking skills or the ability to call Verizon, do all these things. Like, you might think your security's airtight, but why even make yourself a target? And a lot of people assume that no one will ever connect their real identity with their online identity, but most people make mistakes. Most people make a lot of mistakes, and you can connect their online identity to their real world identity. It's better just not to talk about the fact that you made a lot of money in crypto. Let's be honest here. You've probably already blown all that. You probably are too far gone to heed Robert Redford's advice in this movie. I think a lot of us in Cardano are probably like that old CrossFit joke. How can you tell if someone's in CrossFit? Don't worry, they'll tell you. I think a lot of us in Cardano are exactly like that. We've probably all been talking to all of our friends about Cardano for a long time. Maybe they all already know we're in Cardano. I think the best course of action here, when they say, hey, did you make a ton of money on Cardano? Are you bathing in hot tubs made out of gold right now? I think the only answer to that question is probably, you know what? I sold too early, which is probably true. If you sell Cardano at any point, you probably sold too early. So you're not totally lying to them. You're just allowing them to dismiss the possibility that you made a bunch of money that they'll never be able to make. This is really that honesty without compassion is just cruelty type situation. When you were in like high school or college and you were doing like well with the ladies, I'm just guessing because you're a Cardano person. You were like doing well with the ladies, or if you're a lady, you were doing well with the guys, and you had that friend. You had that friend who was not doing so well. You had like a buddy who was not doing well with the ladies, and they come to you and they're like, oh man, I'm terrible. Girls do not like me. They like you, they don't like me. You don't tell them, hey bro, the real deal is, you are the Carlton to my Fresh Prince. You are the Higgins to my Magnum PI. You don't tell them that. Even if that were the case, that's not what you tell them. You tell them, hey bro, look, these girls are just at the wrong age. They don't understand what you're bringing to the table right now. In a couple of years, they're going to be begging to hang out with a guy like you. You tell them something like that, because even if the truth is that they're the Carlton and you're the Fresh Prince, you could never say that to them. That's the wrong thing to say. That's the honesty without compassion equaling cruelty. So there might be a situation where you have to say, yo, man, I sold too early. They'll be better off. You'll be better off. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.